Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today we have another installment of live killers for you. Essentially these are live albums that I feel are just as important or just as good, if nothing else, as maybe the more popular or the better known live albums from these bands. So for our second installment, we're going to be talking about a German Teutonic thrash metal band, absolute legends, one of my favourite thrash bands for certain, and they are just absolute killers. Live, it seems, although I've never had the pleasure of actually seeing them on stage, live it certainly sounds as though they deliver the goods. Heavy as hell. So we're talking Destruction, and we're talking Born To Thrash. So this album, if you're not familiar with this was released in 2020. It was recorded live at the Partisan Open Air Festival in Germany in August 2019. It was released around the time of the lockdowns. The whole COVID pandemic was kicking off big time across the world. And actually at that time, you started to notice there were a lot of live albums being released of shows, festival appearances, or big significant headline events that were being dug out and released by bands all over the metal spectrum. The whole way across the board, there was things coming out in lockdown, live, in the style of Lamb of God and Epica or Nightwish, where they were doing live streams or live events in an empty venue, certainly in Lamb of God's case, and then releasing it as a live album, live in lockdown. But this one was obviously a live show from before the lockdowns being released during that time. I think that it was obviously a way of bands being able to release some material, maybe just help keep the fans sane, keep them interested, feed that need for live material. So I certainly jumped straight on that because I absolutely love Destruction. I think they're a fantastic band, as I mentioned. So many killer tracks. And what I really loved about this one is, although it's only 10 songs long, it's a real good mix of material from their early catalogue, and also the inclusion of some of their more recent material. Of course, this was obviously on the tour on the back of the Born To Perish album, which is an absolute bruiser in my opinion. I think it's a fine thrashing piece of work. I think this is an absolutely top-notch album. The sound quality is amazing here. These guys rip and snort and thrash just like it's almost in the studio, but obviously it's not. It sounds that good is what I mean. There's not tons of missed notes here and, you know, falling a bit flat here and there, but obviously it may have been polished up quite nicely in the studio, but is that the point? Because what you get here is a damn good live show. This is a damn fine performance. So let's take a look at some of those tracks. As I've mentioned, you've got 10 tracks there, covering the catalogue quite nicely anyway, full of hits. We get the opening track is Curse the Gods, followed by Nailed to the Cross. Those are easily two of the best Destruction songs without a doubt. I think that if I've mentioned this about a few other tracks actually, that if I had to pick like a list of just my top favourite 10 songs of all time, Curse the Gods could easily be in there. That thrashing riff, absolutely love it. It's so heavy, so much groove, so much chug. You have to headbang to that. And if you don't, then there's something seriously wrong with you. Curse the Gods. Then we get that great track, Nailed to the Cross. Nailed to the fucking cross from the Antichrist. What a fantastic track that is. Heavy as hell. Sounds amazing here. You can hear Schmear's vocals clear and nasty. Mikey's riffs are thick and chugging. It's just brilliant stuff. Then we've got the title track from that album, previously mentioned there, Born To Perish. I think it's a fantastic track, fantastic album, as I've said. Real good thrashing old school sound. But obviously in a more modern, certainly in a more modern destruction style. Very fluidly follows on from what they were doing with the likes of Spiritual Genocide and Under Attack as well. Great stuff. Then we get the Mad Butcher. What an absolute classic that is. That's just thrash. But it's very juvenile. It's very young and immature, really, in vocally. Musically, it's fantastic. You wouldn't have known that these guys were so young when they wrote and recorded that originally, but it's got the beautiful sort of naive immaturity in the lyrics, and you can't help but crack a smile to it. But it's a thrashing ripper. Life Without Sense, another Destruction classic, a live favourite, and just an all-round brilliant song. A thrashing number. Betrayal, another track, and the only other track to appear from Born To Perish. Brilliantly executed, well delivered, sounds fantastic, absolutely love it. More classics in Total Disaster. Elsewhere, we've got Thrash Till Death, a thrashing, ripping, snorting number. A perfect track for a festival, for an open air. You could almost, you know, during lockdown, when you're sitting there listening to this, you could almost imagine, picture yourself, even hear the sounds, just being in that open air, in that field, really overpriced pint of beer, some horribly flat European lager in a plastic cup, smelling stale fags and weed, and just hearing that thrashing tune, just knowing that's what it's all about. If that's your sort of thing, anyway. But Thrash Till Death, an absolutely brilliant track. Love that number. Closing the set with Bestial Invasion, another great track. And it's just, you know, just reading these out just reminds me how many great thrashing songs Destruction have. They're not just a few hits. They've got consistent albums with the likes of Infernal Overkill and Eternal Devastation. Even Cracked Brain. There's some good stuff there as well. Certainly in more recent years, I think they've been on fine form since coming back together with the likes of the Antichrist. Metal Discharge even, it's a heavy album. The Butcher Strikes Back. All Hell Let Loose. That is a fantastic song. Absolutely love that one. It's a bruiser, it's a belter. If you're not familiar with Destruction, and this was the first thing that you came across, the first thing that you heard from these guys, I would say this is just as good as like a compilation or a best of, coming across something like that. This is a brilliant, brilliant album. Certainly a good place to start if you're not familiar with them. If you are a fan, or if you just like some good old thrashing metal, but in a live format, in a live performance, then this is certainly not an album to miss. This is a short and sweet. It's about 55, 56 minutes long. Just good Teutonic Thrash. Lovely stuff. Musicianship is tight. What's not to like? Comparison to the other great notable live album Destruction have released way back in their catalogue, the Live Without Sense album. In comparison to that, this isn't obviously a classic live album like that, which is highly regarded by a lot of fans and a lot of thrash metal fans as being a bit of a high point in terms of live thrash albums, which really there aren't that many good live thrash albums. Certainly not until more recent times, post 2000, say. But I would say it's just as good. Sounds amazing, the quality is brilliant, and they do a ripping, tearing job. Schmear, what a legend. Absolutely love this guy. So, there you have it. Destruction, Born To Thrash, live in Germany. If you're not familiar with this one, check it out. It's an absolute thrasher. If you like Creator, if you like Exodus, if you like Testament, if you like Overkill, but you're not familiar with Destruction, you're missing out big time. Check it out. Born To Thrash, an absolute ripper. Thank you for watching Live Killers, my friends. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations. Do feel free to like and subscribe, of course. It's always very much appreciated. Check out the live album. Do let me know what you think. I'm very interested to hear, or if you've heard it, are you a fan? Do you think actually it's not that good? Hey, let's share some opinions here. Thanks for watching, my friends, and as always, you stay heavy.